Imagine a day so heavy with meaning. Every moment carries the weight of history. A day where hope, betrayal, courage, and heartbreak collide. Season 6 of The Chosen zeroes in on just one day, the final day of Jesus' earthly journey. And Episode 1 throws us straight into the heart of that unfolding storm. If you thought you knew the story, think again. This season promises to make you feel the darkness, the tension, and the deep emotional cost like never before. Season 6 is unlike anything we've seen in The Chosen before. Instead of spanning weeks or months, it focuses entirely on the last day before the crucifixion, a single, intense day that changed everything. This approach alone makes it feel raw and immediate, like we're stepping directly into the shadows that cover Jerusalem on that fateful night. Director Dallas Jenkins and his team have taken on the enormous challenge of capturing every moment under the cover of darkness, just as the gospel stories describe. They filmed mostly at night to recreate the eerie, haunting atmosphere that surrounded Jesus in his final hours. This choice isn't just about visual style, it's about bringing us closer to the real emotional weight of the story. The night hides fear and betrayal, quiet desperation, and unspoken truths. The apostles, who only days before were bold and hopeful, are now confused and frightened, desperately trying to hold on to faith as everything seems to be falling apart. Jesus, calm and resolute, walks through this night knowing what is to come. We're going to feel the tension in every scene, the quiet before the storm, the flickers of doubt, the crushing loneliness. This is a season that promises not just to show us history, but to make us live it alongside the characters. Episode 1 centers on the trial of Jesus, a moment packed with conflict, injustice, and heartbreak. The trial wasn't a simple event, it was a series of moments, each more intense than the last, moving from the religious leaders' councils to the Roman governor's judgment seat. Jesus is arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane after that deeply moving prayer where he surrenders to the Father's will. From there, he faces Annas, the former high priest, whose questioning is sharp and filled with suspicion. Jesus answers with quiet confidence. He has taught openly, and he won't hide now. But the cruelty of that moment hits when a guard strikes Jesus, a slap that echoes centuries of misunderstanding and hatred. Next comes the terrifying scene with Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin, where false witnesses try to trap Jesus with their lies, but their stories don't add up. The tension is unbearable as Caiaphas directly asks Jesus if he is the Messiah. Jesus' answer is bold and fearless, declaring not only his identity, but his authority to sit at the right hand of God and return in glory. This declaration is the spark that seals his fate. Caiaphas tears his robe in outrage, and the decision to condemn Jesus to death is made. But this religious court has no power to carry out the sentence. They need Rome's approval, so the story moves to the Roman side of this tragic drama. When Jesus is brought before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, we see a man caught between duty and conscience. Pilate doesn't find Jesus guilty of any crime, and even questions him with a strange mixture of curiosity and skepticism. But political pressure from the crowd and religious leaders forces Pilate to make an impossible choice. In an attempt to avoid responsibility, he sends Jesus to Herod Antipas, hoping the ruler will handle the matter. Herod, eager to witness a miracle, is met with silence. Jesus says nothing, refusing to perform or explain himself. Herod's reaction is mockery, dressing Jesus in a royal robe as a cruel joke before sending him back to Pilate. The weight of the crowd's demands grows heavier, their shouts for crucifixion echoing louder. Pilate tries to offer a way out, giving the crowd the choice to free Jesus or Barabbas, a known criminal. But in a shocking turn, the crowd chooses Barabbas. This rejection feels like a punch to the gut. How could the one who brings life be rejected for a criminal? Before handing Jesus over, Pilate allows a brutal flogging, a punishment meant to break both body and spirit. The Roman soldiers mock Jesus, weaving a crown of thorns and pressing it into his scalp, draping him in a purple robe and sarcastically hailing him King of the Jews. Even in this torment, Pilate's attempts to reason with the crowd fail. Eventually, he symbolically washes his hands, declaring himself innocent of Jesus' blood, and delivers Jesus to be crucified. The first episode will carry the viewer through this intense journey, immersing us in the fear, the betrayal, and the overwhelming sorrow of that night. The cast and crew have described this as the most emotionally demanding season yet, and it shows in every detail. Jonathan Romy, who plays Jesus, has said this role has taken a toll on him unlike anything before, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's not just acting, it's living through the weight of those final hours. Others on the cast share this feeling, describing the filming experience as heartbreaking and deeply moving. This isn't just a retelling of a well-known story, it's a chance to experience those moments in a way that hits you in the soul, to walk alongside Jesus and his followers as they face the darkest night humanity has ever known.
As the story unfolds deeper into that night, the weight of every decision becomes crushing. The apostles, once full of hope and boldness, are now scattered, fearful and confused. Peter's denial looms large over this episode, his heart breaking as he tries to reconcile his loyalty with his fear. We see a man wrestling with himself, caught between courage and weakness, and it's a raw, honest moment that reminds us how human these characters are. They aren't just figures from history, they're people like us, struggling with doubt and pain. Meanwhile, Jesus remains calm but deeply aware of what lies ahead. He chooses silence in the face of accusations, not out of weakness, but because he knows that words won't change what's coming. This silence is powerful. It speaks louder than any defense could, showing us a man fully surrendered to God's plan. The tension builds, not just in the trial scenes, but in every quiet, heavy moment. The darkness outside mirrors the darkness in the hearts of those who watch, question, and decide Jesus' fate. Filming this episode mostly at night has created a unique mood that pulls us into the story like never before. It's not just about shadows and lighting, but about capturing the emotional weight of a world that feels like it's holding its breath. The crew's dedication to authenticity shines through in every scene. They've even filmed in Matera, Italy, the same historic city where the Passion of the Christ was shot, adding a haunting, almost sacred atmosphere to the crucifixion scenes. This choice adds layers of meaning, reminding us that the story we're watching is rooted in real history, places where these events still echo today. It's like the ground itself remembers what happened here. And the actors respond to that weight, delivering performances full of heartbreak, hope, and raw humanity. This first episode is also setting the tone for the entire season. It's not just a trial, it's the beginning of a journey through the darkest hours before the dawn. Each moment is charged with emotion, suspense, and spiritual depth. We feel the betrayal, not just from Judas, but from the crowd, the leaders, and even from within the disciples. It's a story about love and sacrifice, but also about fear and failure. And it's told with a respect and honesty that pulls you in, making you think about what it really means to follow Jesus. Season 6 invites us to walk through that night alongside the characters, to feel their fear, confusion, and faith in a way that's deeply personal. It's a season that doesn't just retell history, but brings it to life, making us a part of this powerful story. One of the most gripping parts of this episode is watching how the political and religious powers collide in their desperate efforts to maintain control. The Sanhedrin, anxious and furious, want to stamp out what they see as a threat to their authority. They twist the law, use false witnesses, and resort to fear to condemn Jesus. But even their efforts feel shaky, full of cracks and contradictions. On the other side, Pilate is trapped in a political game bigger than him, torn between justice and pressure from the crowd. His attempts to find a way out highlight the cruelty of a system that values power over truth. The way these forces come together, pushing Jesus closer to death, creates a tension that's impossible to ignore. It's like watching a storm build, knowing the destruction it will bring, but powerless to stop it. And yet, through all this chaos, there's an undeniable sense of purpose in Jesus' silence and calm. He's not a helpless victim. He's in control, carrying out a plan that changes everything. His words to Caiaphas about the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of God aren't just defiant, they're a revelation of who he truly is. This moment is a turning point, and it's handled with incredible care in the script and performance. It's both shocking and deeply moving, reminding us of the profound truth behind the story. Every glance, every word, every silence in this episode holds meaning. The audience is drawn into the struggle between earthly power and divine purpose, between fear and faith. This episode also does something special by focusing on the human side of the story, the moments of doubt, fear, and love among Jesus' followers. Mary Magdalene's heartbreak, Peter's denial, and the disciples' confusion are not just background details, they are central to the emotional core of the story. We see how these moments shaped the people who would go on to change the world. Their struggles feel immediate and relatable, reminding us that faith isn't always easy, and sometimes it means facing our own weaknesses head-on. This honest portrayal makes the story feel real and urgent. It's a reminder that the events of that night weren't just history, they were lived by people who loved, feared, and hoped, just like us.
What makes Episode 1 so thrilling is how it sets the stage for everything that follows in Season 6 and beyond. It's the calm before the storm, filled with moments that build suspense and anticipation. The trial scenes are intense, but they're only the beginning of a much bigger story. We know what's coming: the crucifixion, the sacrifice, and eventually the resurrection. But watching it unfold with this new level of emotional depth is nothing short of powerful. The Chosen isn't just telling us the story we already know, it's inviting us to feel it, to live it, and to understand it in a way that changes us. This season also promises to push boundaries with its scale and ambition. Dallas Jenkins has spoken openly about how demanding this season has been for everyone involved, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The cast has poured their hearts into these roles, and the result is something extraordinary. The story is bigger than ever, filmed over 86 days in multiple locations that add authenticity and weight to the narrative. It's clear that this isn't just a show, it's a labor of love and faith that aims to leave a lasting impact on everyone who watches. And there's something truly groundbreaking about how this season is being released. The finale episode won't just drop on a streaming platform, it's being made into a full-length movie set to hit theaters worldwide. This bold move shows the confidence and passion behind the project, and it promises an unforgettable cinematic experience. The resurrection story in Season 7 is also planned for a theatrical release, tying the entire journey together in a way that feels monumental and hopeful. In the end, Episode 1 of Season 6 is more than just a preview. It's a powerful invitation to step into the darkest night and walk alongside Jesus and his followers as they face the final hours. It's a story of courage, sacrifice, and love that continues to inspire and challenge us today. If you're ready to experience this story like never before, get ready, because The Chosen is about to take us deeper than ever into the heart of Jesus' final day. One of the most fascinating aspects of this season, starting with Episode 1, is how it doesn't shy away from showing the emotional and spiritual toll on every character. This isn't just about the historical events, it's about the people who lived through them, the disciples, followers, and even the opponents of Jesus. Their struggles, fears, and doubts feel incredibly real, making the story relatable to us today. Take Mary Magdalene, for example. By this point in the story, she's no longer just a follower. She's someone whose life was changed forever by Jesus.
Watching her witness his suffering is heartbreaking, and the show captures that raw pain with tenderness and respect. And then there's Jonathan Roumie, portraying Jesus, who has described this season as the most difficult work of his career. The physical transformation he underwent, losing weight and muscle, was only part of it. The emotional and spiritual weight of carrying Christ's final moments on screen is something that's deeply felt by him and, in turn, by the audience. This level of commitment from the cast makes every scene powerful and authentic. They don't just act out the story, they live it. The production itself is a massive undertaking, with over 86 days of filming across locations like North Texas, Utah, and the historic city of Matera in Italy. The scale of this season is breathtaking. Matera, known for its ancient stone buildings and dramatic landscapes, adds an eerie, almost sacred dimension to the scenes of Jesus' trial and crucifixion. Filming in a place that's been used for iconic religious films adds a layer of authenticity and weight. The cast and crew have talked about the almost spiritual energy on set, moments that gave them chills and deepened their connection to the story. This isn't just a TV show, it's a carefully crafted experience meant to immerse viewers in the final, most intense day of Jesus' life. The dedication to detail, atmosphere, and emotion shines through every frame.
Imagine a day so heavy with meaning. Every moment carries the weight of history. A day where hope, betrayal, courage, and heartbreak collide. Season 6 of The Chosen zeroes in on just one day, the final day of Jesus' earthly journey. And Episode 1 throws us straight into the heart of that unfolding storm. If you thought you knew the story, think again. This season promises to make you feel the darkness, the tension, and the deep emotional cost like never before. Season 6 is unlike anything we've seen in The Chosen before. Instead of spanning weeks or months, it focuses entirely on the last day before the crucifixion, a single, intense day that changed everything. This approach alone makes it feel raw and immediate, like we're stepping directly into the shadows that cover Jerusalem on that fateful night. Director Dallas Jenkins and his team have taken on the enormous challenge of capturing every moment under the cover of darkness, just as the gospel stories describe. They filmed mostly at night to recreate the eerie, haunting atmosphere that surrounded Jesus in his final hours. This choice isn't just about visual style, it's about bringing us closer to the real emotional weight of the story. The night hides fear and betrayal, quiet desperation, and unspoken truths. The apostles, who only days before were bold and hopeful, are now confused and frightened, desperately trying to hold on to faith as